When you're ready to start weaving, you'll need a weaving needle and thread. I'm starting with green because we start at the bottom and weave our way to the top, and green is the first color that I've chosen. In order to thread the needle, what I like to do is I like to go at the very end and bend it like this. So there's the end, and I kind of bend it, and I'm pinching that part, the bent part, with my helping hand. And then here's the eye of the needle, and I'll just sort of squish it through. I'll wiggle it back and forth until it pops through the eye of the needle, and I'll pull through. We call this portion that's hanging outside of the eye of the needle, we'll call that the tail. And we want a really long tail, like about as long as your hand. So that way it doesn't keep falling out, and you don't have to keep pushing it through the eye of the needle. Now what you'll do is we'll start with an under-over pattern, and we'll weave from the right side to the left side. And what we're weaving are called wefts. These that we've already stuck into our loom, these ones going up and down, these are called warps. So wefts go left to right, and that's how you can remember that. Warps go up and down, wefts go left to right, weft, left. And I'm going to start by going under and over, under and over. So I'm going to go under this warp, over this warp, under this warp, over this warp, under this warp, over this warp, under, over, and continue that under-over pattern until I reach the other side of the loom. So double check before you pull through that you didn't actually skip a warp, because I do this all the time. I accidentally skip one, and if I don't double check, then I'll mess up my weaving. So I'm going to pull through, pull, 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 until you have a little tail. And what I like to do with this little tail is I like to do just like, I'll pull it. So we started with an under-over pattern, so it's going under here. So I'm going to pull it over this one and under this one and on through. So I'll pull it under, so it's going over this one and then under the one that's next to it. Gotta get it through there. And pull it on through, just so it's nice tugged and secured in there. Alright, so that's the first one, and we'll just let this hang there. Next, I've got to flip it on over to the other side, and again, we weave, starting on the right hand side and going to the left, so we weave right to left. In this case, this is how I'm doing it. So I'm going to go, starting with, I'm going to go over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under. And I'm going to pull on through. Occasionally I do have to spread these little guys out as they get a little bit scrunched up in certain places. Then I'm going to flip it on over to the other side and start my weave all over again. Now here's what's important about weaving, and here's how it works. The pattern alternates with each row. So this one started with an under pattern. So in order to go opposite, this one started with an under, over, under, over. On this next row I'm about to do, I have to go the opposite way. So I'm looking at this one started under, so now I'm going to go over, under.
Basically do the exact opposite pattern of the row before it.
So I'm going to check and make sure that that's right. And I messed up somewhere, because that's oh, no, I didn't mess up. So this one is going over, this one is going, so this one's under, this one's over, this one's over, this one's under. So I'm looking at the row before it. This yarn is going under, my needle is going over. So I have done this correctly, and I'm going to pull on through to the other side. And then I'm going to go over to this side, and I'll do the opposite pattern. This one is starting with over, so I'm going to go under, over, under, over, doing the exact opposite pattern of the row before it. Alright, and then I'll go to the other side. But before I do that, we do need to do one more thing, and that's sort of scrunch it down. Because when we're weaving, we don't want to see all of these warps. Eventually these warps are going to get covered up with our wefts. So you just need to take your scrunchy fingers and scrunch, crunch, crunch it down. And I'll do that on the other side as well. And eventually you'll notice that these warps will go away with the more weaving that we do. So looking at this row begins with an over pattern, so I'm going to go under. In my next video, I'm going to show you how you change a color or add a new seam of yarn.